Alright, this tutorial is going to be on how to find the constant of proportionality from tables. We'll be doing graphs, we'll be doing equations. Actually, equations are introduced in this video, but not fully. So a couple things, some definitions. First, a rate of change. A rate of change is a ratio or a rate that describes how one quantity changes in relation to another quantity. Well, a ratio is a fraction, and we're going to be dealing with a constant rate of change, which you'll see, but go ahead and annotate these definitions. The next definition we're going to cover later on, or maybe today, will be proportional relationship. A proportional relationship is when the ratio between two quantities where the rate of change is constant. Okay, and in this case, we're going to be comparing the values of y and x. And the rate, again, is going to be a fraction, and constant means it's going to stay the same. And that's a constant rate of change. And then last thing is a proportion. A proportion are two ratios that are equal, or two fractions in our case that are equal. For example, 1/3 is equal to 2/6, because when you simplify 2/6, you end up with 1/3. Okay, so make sure you guys know those definitions. We're going to cover them soon. I'm going to quickly go through this. First of all, a couple formulas you need to know. The constant of proportionality, we're going to be using a formula where the constant proportionality, k, is going to be equal to the value of y divided by x. Again, the constant proportionality is equal to the value of y divided by x. Now, when you guys write this down, do not say k, say the constant proportionality, which we use the letter k. And the next equation that you need to make sure you learn is going to be the equation of a proportional relationship. And that's going to be in the form of the value of y is going to equal the constant of proportionality times x. So if the constant of proportionality was 4, the equation of that relationship would be y equals 4x, which means y equals 4 times x. And we're going to be using that next. All right. First things first. Here we got a table, and we want to know whether it's a proportional relationship. And it is, you want to find the constant proportionality k. So what you need to do is we're going to use the formula for the constant proportionality, which is y divided by x. And you need to attack these pairs one at a time. These are actually ordered pairs. And so let's go ahead and attack the first one. So we're going to write down our formula. And what's my value of y? That's going to go on the numerator is 18. And then the value of x is going to go on the denominator, which is 9. And then we go ahead and simplify. And those two, well, that ordered pair, the ordered pair 9, 18, with the value of x, y, and 9, 18, is 2. So the constant proportionality is 2 in those that ordered pair. But we need to check every ordered pair, because if we're checking to see if the table is proportional, all the relationships should have a constant proportionality that are equivalent or equal. So let's go ahead and write our constant proportionality equation down. I keep saying formula, but it's equation. And our y value is 22. That's going to go on our numerator. And the x value is going to go on the denominator, which is 11. And so you end up with 22/11, which you simplify is also equal to 2. And then we need to check the last order pair. Write down our equation for the constant proportionality, which is y divided by x. Our y value is 28. That goes on the numerator. Our x value is 14. And so we also end up with 2. Now, because we end up with a constant proportionality of 2 for every relationship, this is a proportional relationship in this table. Now, you got to make sure they're asking you to find the constant proportionality, which we already did the work. The constant proportionality is 2. And so the final answer is yes, this is a proportional relationship, and the constant proportionality is equal to 2. Now let's try another problem. Here we got another table, same thing. We want to know if it's a proportional relationship. If it is, find the constant proportionality. So let's go ahead and tackle the first order pair. Write down our constant proportionality equation, which is y divided by x. Substitute the y value in the numerator. Substitute the x value in our denominator. And here we end up with 19/18. So you can leave it as a fraction if you simplify it. But I'm going to go ahead and make it as a mixed number, which ends up being 2 and 3/8. Now we have to check all of the values. So now let's check the y value, which is 28, and what is its corresponding x value? 10. And then if you divide and simplify it, you end up with 2 and 4/5. Now right away you can say that those are not equivalent. But I'm going to go ahead and check the last one to double check. Here our y value is 38 and our x value is 18, which goes on denominator. And so we end up with 2 and 1/9. And are the constant proportionalities all equivalent or equal? No. So is this table a proportional relationship? No, it does not show a proportional relationship. Make sure you check everyone, because sometimes they'll try to fool you where all of them at the beginning have the same constant proportionality and the last one does not. All right, here's another type of problem that we're going to encounter. Here we have a table and it's two parts. Part A is I want to know what the constant proportionality K is. And then I want you to write the equation in the form of y is equal to the constant proportionality times x. So I forgot to tell you on this one actually, but these tables are all a proportional relationship. So really what you're going to do is you're going to use the formula, the constant proportionality is equal to y divided by x. And because I'm telling you ahead of time that these are proportional, you only have to choose one set of y with its corresponding x value. Now, a lot of kids like to choose the smaller ones or the first one. That's what I do as well. So let's go ahead and use these x and y values. And let's substitute our y value, which is 60. And then our x value, which is 2. And then you simplify and you end up with 30. So the constant of proportionality is 30. Now I forgot to write it down. So constant proportionality is equal to 30. Now, writing the equation, you're going to write in the form of y is equal to the constant proportionality x. So what you want to do is you write the equation, y equals the constant proportionality times x, and you just substitute the k value. So instead of y is equal to k times x, then the constant proportionality is 30, y is going to be equal to 30 times x. In other words, for every x value, if you multiply by 30, you end up with the y value. You can see it up there because 9 times 30 is 270, and that gives you your y value right there. All right, let's try another one. Here it's a little bit different, but same thing. Find the constant proportionality and then write the equation. So in this case, if you look, there is no x and y value. We got actual units, items, and ounces. So which column is going to be x and which one is going to be y? Well, it's going to be in alphabetical order. The first column is going to be x, and the next column is going to be y. And then you're going to do the same thing we just did. Find the constant proportionality. Use the equation. The constant proportionality is y divided by x. Then we're going to go ahead and substitute our y value, which is 7 6/10, and then our x value, which is 2. And then we simplify because this table has decimals. We're going to give our answer as a decimal. And so we end up with the constant proportionality of 3 8/10. Now that we have the constant proportionality, we can write the equation in the form of y is equal to the constant proportionality times x. And we're going to substitute 3 8/10 for x. Our equation is y. Any value of y is going to be equal to 3 8/10 times the x value. And if you double check it up there, 3 8/10 times 8 is 30 4/10. Okay, let's try another problem. Same thing here. Another table. Find the constant proportionality. We're going to use the equation constant proportionality is equal to y divided by x. Now we're going to substitute our y values, but again, this table is not labeled x and y, but the first column is going to be x and the second column is going to be y. So let's go ahead and substitute our y value. Our y value is 3 and our x value is 93. And originally I put down to write our answer as a decimal, but I should have put fraction. And so let's go ahead and simplify. We can divide our numerator by 3 and our denominator by 3. So we end up with a constant proportionality of 1/31. Now that we know what the constant proportionality is, you have to be careful because a lot of times just the kids, the students just divide the bigger number by the smaller number, and they say that the constant proportionality is 31. In this case, it is not. That's why it's imperative that you circle your y's, write it down, then circle your x, and then you write it down. All right, we know what the constant proportionality is, 1/31. And now we're going to go ahead and substitute into the equation y is equal to the constant of proportionality times x. And substitute our constant proportionality, which is 1/31. And so our equation is y is equal to 1/31 times x. And if you look at the table, 1/31 times 217, when you multiply it, you end up with 7. And that's the quick tutorial on finding the constant proportionality from a table. Thank you. Have any questions? Ask me.